From power tussle, greed to poor governance, these are some of the list of 29 former heads of governments, like presidents, prime ministers, monarchs or political leaders, etc., who were sentenced to death by the succeeding regime. From power tussle, greed to poor governance, these are some of the list of 29 former heads of governments, like presidents, prime ministers, monarchs or political leaders, etc., who were sentenced to death by the succeeding regime following their removal from power. Some of the reasons for their death will really amaze you. Let's begin. 1. Antonescu, Ion, was the Prime Minister of Romania. He ruled from 1940 to 1944, executed by firing squad in June 1, 1946. 2. Bagrionov, Ivan Ivanov. He was the Prime Minister of Bulgaria in 1944, was executed in February 1, 1945 by firing squad. 3. Bir Celal was the President of Turkey in 1950 to 1960, and Prime Minister in 1937 to 1939. His sentence was commuted. He was released in 1964 and he died in August 22, 1986. Please, as you watch, do subscribe if you have not done so, for more. 4. Bhutto Zulfikar Ali was the President of Pakistan, 1971 to 1973, Prime Minister, 1973 to 1977, executed by hanging April 4, 1979. 5. Bokassa Jean Bedel. He was the Emperor, 1976 to 1979, President, 1966 to 1976, of Central African Republic. He was sentence commuted, released in 1993, but died in November 3, 1996. 6. Božidar Dobry. He was the Prime Minister of Bulgaria in 1943 to 1944. He was executed in February 1, 1945. 7. Ceausescu Nicolae. He was the President Romania in 1967 to 1989. He was executed by firing squad December 25, 1989. 8. Charles I of England. He was the King of England, 1625 to 1649. Executed by decapitation in January 30, 1649. 9. Chen Gongbo. He was the President of China called Wang Jingui government, from 1944 to 1945, he was executed by firing squad in 1946. 10. Chun Doo-hwan. He was the President of South Korea, 1980 to 1988. His sentence was commuted, released in 1997. He is still alive. 11. Filip Bogdan. He was the Prime Minister of Bulgaria, 1940 to 1943. He was executed in February 2, 1945. 12. Hoveyda Amir Abbas. He was the Prime Minister of Iran from 1965 to 1977. Executed by firing squad in April 7, 1979. 13. Lady Jane Grey. She was the Queen of England in 1553. She was executed in July 19, 1553. 14. Liang Hongji. He was the chairman of China Reformed Government of the Republic from 1938 to 1940. Executed by firing squad in 1946 to 11. 15. Louis XVI of France. As a king, he reigned from 1774 to 1792. Executed by decapitation, guillotine, in January 21, 1793. 16. Macias Nguema, Francisco. He was the president of Equatorial Guinea from 1968 to 1979. He was executed in September 29, 1979. 17. Mary, Queen of Scots, Scotland. She reigned from 1542 to 1567. She was beheaded by the order of her cousin, Queen Elizabeth I of England, in February 8, 1587, to prevent her inheriting the English throne. What a pity. 18. Massamba Alphonse. He was the president of Congo Republic from 1963 to 1968, and a prime minister, 1963. Executed in March 25, 1977. 19. Menderes, Adnan. He was the prime minister of Turkey in 1950 to 1960. He was executed by hanging in 1961, 09, 17. 20. Mussolini, Benito. He was the prime minister of Italy from 1922 to 1943, however he was executed by firing squad in April 28, 1945. 21. Nagy, Imre. He was the prime minister of Hungary, 1953 to 1955, 1956, executed by hanging June 16, 1958. 22. Najibullah Mohammed. He was the president of Afghanistan, 1987 to 1992. He was executed by hanging in September 27, 1996. 23. Nicholas II of Russia. He was the Emperor Russian Empire in 1894 to 1917. He was executed in July 17, 1918. 24. Pétain, Philippe. He was the head of state France, from 1940 to 1944, sentence commuted to life imprisonment. 25. Quisling, Vidkun. The Minister-President of Norway from 1942 to 1945. He was executed by firing squad in October 24, 1945. 26. Saddam Hussein. He was the President of Iraq from 1979 to 2003. He was executed by hanging in December 30, 2006. 27. Tojo Hideki. He was the Prime Minister of Japan from 1941 to 1944. Sadly, he was executed by hanging in December 23, 1948. 28. Traore Moussa. He was the President of Mali, from 1968 to 1991. He was also sentenced but commuted, released in 2002. 29. Marcos Ferdinand. He was the President of Philippines from 1965 to 1986. September 28, 1989. He was sentenced, commuted, released. Please do subscribe for more and comment. Your opinion will help us on our future findings. Remember, you deserve the best when next Fact Excavators returns.